Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome back to the moon video for the Sagittarius full moon on June 11th, 2025. It is just me for the moon video today because unfortunately, Sarah, my dear friend and astrologer, is feeling a little under the weather this week. So I'm just going to share what I picked up intuitively about the Sagittarius full moon. And then, of course, you guys can head over to the blog for more information about it. So on June 11th at 12:43 p.m. So it's going to actually kind of be the night of June 10th, but very, very early in the morning on Tuesday, June 11th, we have a full moon in Sagittarius. And the theme of this full moon is the love you get is equal to the love you give. So if you notice yourself feeling perhaps a little bit more tender, a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more desiring of love around the Sagittarius full moon, congratulations, you're totally feeling the energies of this lunation. You might also notice that you're also feeling what we consider to be some of those blocks to love as well. You might notice you're feeling a little bit more harsh in your criticism of yourself or others, feeling judgmental again of self or others, and just noticing kind of this like scarcity of love that you might be feeling as well. So you might feel a bit of scarcity of love while also kind of desiring more love. And that's what the energies of this Sagittarius full moon is kind of bringing up within us. So let's just talk a little bit about Sagittarius energy, and then I'll share a little bit about what I intuited, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so Sagittarius is the mutable or adaptable fire sign of the zodiac. Sagittarius is known for being extremely adventurous, expansive. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so very expansive, very optimistic, very much a lover of learning, a lover of experience. When I think about Sagittarius, I think about someone who is like one of those, like, I have to learn by experience. I have to do in order to understand. That's very much like kind of Sagittarius energy for me. Sagittarius energy is also kind of more big picture, like loves philosophy, loves higher learning, loves having this kind of like big picture look at things. And Sagittarius energy is also really well known for being very adventuresome, very curious, very playful, very humorous as well. And in fact, whenever we're in Sagittarius energy, we know that humor is actually a very potent energy, a very potent medicine that we can bring in. And some of the levity that Sagittarius energy brings in is actually quite a great counterbalance to some of the seriousness of what's happening in the world around us. So that's just a little bit about Sagittarius. Now, of course, everything that casts light also cast a shadow. So when we think about some of the shadow aspects of Sagittarian energy, we can think a little bit of some emotional repression. Sagittarius energy sometimes will attempt to avoid emotional vulnerability by repressing it, by moving into higher level thinking, intellectualizing it, kind of not letting themselves go into the actual like feeling or deep depth of the emotion itself. Sagittarius energy can also sometimes mistake certainty for wisdom. And by doing so, they can end up having a bit of this like steamrolling energy where they're not going to take in other people's opinions or listen to other viewpoints because they're so certain in their own that that's got to be the only way. And so they kind of mistake their own certainty as like wisdom for all, as opposed to understanding that like, hey, just because it's certain for you doesn't mean it's going to be certain for everybody else. And then another shadow aspect of Sagittarius energy can just be a little bit of bypassing. Like we talked a little bit about like humor and how humor can come in as such a beautiful medicine during Sagittarius energy times, whether it's Sagittarian season or during the Sagittarius full moon. Humor can be such a great counterbalance to some of the emotional heaviness that can come in around the full moon. But one thing we also can know about Sagittarius energy is they can also use humor as a way to avoid feeling. So it's one of those moments where you kind of have to look at humor and decide, hey, is this going to be a medicine for me right now? Is humor actually going to be something that's going to allow me to release some of the like kind of mental projection and get more present? Or is the humor being used as a way to avoid feeling what I actually need to feel? In which case, to be more present would be to avoid the humor. So just something to think about in your own experience. Humor is something that will probably come in around this full moon, and your relationship with it is going to be your relationship with it. So just decide for you, is humor going to be something that's really beneficial here, or is humor actually going to have me more in a repressing place? Okay, so that's just a little bit about Sagittarian energy. So when I felt in intuitively to the energies of this full moon, I got a lot of somatic sensations in my body. As I've mentioned here many times, I'm highly clairsentient. So I do get a lot of intuitive information through sensations. And because I'm an energy worker or Reiki master, I get a lot of information, a lot of messages through chakras, through energy centers in the body. And there were three energy centers that really lit up for me when I was feeling into the energy of this Sagittarius full moon. And those three centers are the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, and the throat chakra. And I do believe that we've been feeling a lot of activations in the heart and the throat for numerous lunations. And so I'm not surprised that we're still feeling that with this Sagittarius full moon as well. So when I felt into the solar plexus, I got filled with this really lovely energy of like, I can do it. When we think about the solar plexus chakra is the chakra of self love and self motivation and self determination and kind of how we perceive ourselves as well as how we digest and process the world around us. And when I felt into the activation I felt within the solar plexus felt very energizing. It felt like a lot of energy came into this area and I felt this sensation of like, I can do it. I can handle it. So when the solar plexus is energized, that is what it feels like. We feel capable. We feel like we can handle whatever is coming to us in our life. And that was the sensation I got when I felt into the Sagittarius full moon. Then it moved up into the heart chakra. And when it moved into the heart chakra, instead of there being a sense of like big expansion or a sense of grief, which can sometimes happen when we're in the heart chakra, I actually got almost nothing, which some people might be like, nothing, what's that? But actually, when we're in the heart chakra and I get that energy of almost nothing, it's actually sacred neutrality. And it is one of the most powerful, most energized, most balanced places that the heart chakra can actually be in. Because the most balanced energy of the heart chakra is unconditional love. And when we talk about unconditional love, we're talking about loving things without condition. And the universe looks at everything that's happening here on earth through the eyes of unconditional love. And I know that's very hard for us as humans to understand, to really conceptualize, but the energy of the aligned heart chakra is this energy of I love everything. And so this energy of unconditional love, I love everything, creates this energy of sacred neutrality. So instead of the heart being in this place where it's leaking energy, feeling grief, feeling lack of acceptance, feeling those are the big ones, grief or lack of acceptance, lack of trust, or even feeling defensive. You know, there's this sense sometimes when we're feeling like things aren't going our way, we can get really defensive, feel like very defended in the heart space, feeling very boundaried, protected in that space. Didn't feel defensive and also didn't feel this strong urge or desire or wanting more either. It was kind of this beautiful sensation of what I like to call authentic contentment. And I like to differentiate between like authentic contentment and manipulated contentment, because I think there are moments and times through gratitude and stuff that we can kind of make ourselves be content when really we want more. But there's also moments in our life when we can get really present where we can just be like, wow, right here, right now is enough. I am enough. This is enough. And this is really why presence is so powerful. Like getting into a really present moment is so powerful, because when we get into a really present moment, when there's not chaos happening in our immediate vicinity in that moment, we can get to that place of sacred neutrality, acceptance, power here, right now. And that was a big part of what I felt for the Sagittarius full moon from the heart chakra. It was this energy of sacred neutrality. It was this energy of contentment. All is well. I am good. I am loved. I am loving. It was an energy of balance. It was an energy of balance. And then up into the throat chakra, there was this sense of a desire to speak truth. But one thing that was interesting with the Sagittarius full moon within the throat chakra is that the throat chakra did feel like it was aware of not only sharing truth, but how that truth is going to land. And I talk often about how the throat chakra doesn't really care about who receives its truth. It's really just about like sharing the truth. But what I felt from the throat chakra this time was that the throat chakra wants to share truth in a way that feels kind. It wants to share truth in a way that feels like it's going to be received and shared back. So it was almost this energy of like, I want to be received. I want to be heard. I want to be met. I want to be met in this truth space. So that's what I picked up intuitively. And then there was this beautiful sense of reciprocity from the heart space. And the heart chakra loves to give, but it also loves to receive. And it's really, really important from an energy medicine perspective that we stay balanced in the heart chakra with our giving and our receiving. When we give too much from our heart space, we tend to overgive, and that depletes our own energy. Yet when we don't give at all, when we overtake, that can also be very depleting of our energy as well, because the heart wants to share, it wants to give, but there is a balance within that. And I felt this beautiful sense of recognition of all the love that we share, that we give out into this world, is returned back to us. We are met in that love. And what was interesting about that was I could feel my ego and my mind go into, okay, well, it went into like very transactional places, which, that's very human. That's how we're conditioned to look at reciprocity in a lot of ways. Like, I gave you this, you give me that. If anyone who's a new girl watcher, it just made me think of, anyway, ADHD brain. So anyway, when we are taught about reciprocity from a human perspective, it is very transactional. I'm going to give you $5 for that object. You give me the object, right? And I think sometimes when we think about love and the reciprocity of love, we expect it to be as transactional as so many of our other kind of transactions that happen. And that's not the way that love is often returned to us. So there was this really beautiful knowing that if we're in a place in our life where we are feeling that perhaps there is an imbalance in what we're giving and what we're receiving, this full moon comes in to remind us to take a broader perspective, which is also very Sagittarius, to take that kind of broader perspective, to take a broader perspective and really look at how the universe is sharing love back to us. It might not be coming from exactly where we think it should be coming from. It might not be coming from the exact place where we're pouring our love into, but this full moon wants to remind us to look around and really see how the universe is mirroring back our love to us. And by knowing that also, if you're feeling this sense of lack or this sense of imbalance with love around this full moon, a really powerful question to ask yourself is, where am I removing love from myself? Where am I closing myself off to my own love and the love the universe wants to send to me? And one of the things that was so important with the Sagittarius full moon, when we think about love and the reciprocity of the love that we give and the love that we get, we cannot forget to put ourselves in that equation. So if we are not giving ourselves the love that we so yearn for, how can we expect the universe to give us that love if we're not willing to give it to ourselves as well? So one thing to really take note of around the Sagittarius full moon is, if you're feeling a lack of love, where are you not giving love to yourself? That will be the first place to illuminate, and that will be the first place where you can do some releasing around ways that you are holding love away from yourself, whether that's through self-criticism, through self-judgment, through holding yourself to impossible standards. I'm feeling a little called out. All three of those things are things that I do to myself 100%. I'm working through it through the help of lots of plant allies. Definitely working through it. But just know some of that coming up with this full moon is very expected, especially with what I was feeling intuitively for this Sagittarius full moon. Okay, one other thing I want to share, and then we'll call it for this video. But there is a really there's a really supportive astrological event happening just 2 days for this full moon in Sagittarius, and it is flavoring this full moon. And that is, you might have already heard about this. If you follow astrology, you probably have heard about this because this is one of the most beneficial transits of 2025. And that is Jupiter, the planet of expansion, luck, optimism, abundance. Jupiter is moving into Cancer on June 9th and will stay there for a little while and then I think moves back and then moves there again for like a whole year. Anyway, Jupiter is moving into Cancer on June 9th, and this is having a big flavor on the energy of the Sagittarius full moon. As I mentioned earlier, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So already we have some of that Jupiter energies with the Sagittarius full moon just because of that connection. But with Jupiter moving into Cancer 2 days before, Jupiter is very much flavoring and energizing this full moon. Now, with Jupiter moving into Cancer, we probably will feel a shift of that through the collective in some interesting ways. With Jupiter moving into Cancer, this is what's known to be so Jupiter is known to be what's called let me write down the word for it. Sorry, exalted. Sorry, I had my notes there. In astrology, we like to say that Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, which means Jupiter is really happy in Cancer. The energies flow really well together there. So when we have Jupiter moving into Cancer, it feels like kind of like like an easier type of relationship. Jupiter moving into Cancer also has us being a little bit more focused on our emotional and intuitive connections, as well as our heart-centered authenticity and the abundance of life itself, the abundance of nature, the abundance of being alive itself. This will often feel kind of like a little bit of a softening, especially moving from Gemini into Cancer. It's a really beautiful reminder for us that our expansion doesn't have to be something we strive for also. It doesn't have to be something we're always like hustling for. Expansion could be something we actually soften into. We actually ease our way into. That's going to be a big shift that's coming with this energy of Jupiter moving into Cancer. And then we're also going to have a lot more focus on the home, on nurturing, on our own authenticity, our own emotional wellness. And just note, with Jupiter moving into Cancer, some really important themes to hold on to is what we nurture, what we choose to nurture will grow with Jupiter in Cancer. And the places where we create emotional safety, we will also create thriving. So those are some good things to remember with Jupiter in Cancer, where we choose to nurture, those places will have energies grow. And where we create emotional safety, we will also create places and opportunities for thriving as well. So those are some of the energies that are kind of flavoring the Sagittarius full moon. And again, the energies of the Sagittarius full moon really are pointing us toward more love, especially more self-love, more recognition of the love we share with this world and the way we receive love in return from the world as well is a big focus for the Sagittarius full moon. So friends, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. For more information, please check out the Moon blog by visiting the link below. And if you're looking for a way to find some community, to have some opportunities to be more reciprocated in your sharing of love and your receiving of love, please come and join us over the Intuitive Moon community. We circle up for every new moon and full moon, and we will be circling up on Tuesday, the 11th, for the Sagittarius full moon. I'll also be doing some intuitive reads. You can find out more by following the link right down there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in a few weeks for the Cancer new moon. Bye, friends.